Today, I would like to talk about one activity that I'm doing with postdoctoral researchers, or postdocs. I have set up a training program for the postdocs in my home department, and I would like to talk about how I'm training them, and also about excellent feedback that I received. Take-home message to you today would be these. If you are a student devoted to learning in any field of life sciences, it would be a good idea for you to search for a training opportunity. Of course, I hope that this podcast series will serve you well. If you are a mentor, like a faculty member and a lab manager, it would be a good idea for you to extend the training opportunity so that the trainees outside your normal reach can receive your training. Hi everyone, welcome to the Foundational Skills in Life Sciences podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Synaptologica. We discuss the skills that life science scholars learn, use, and improve throughout professional activities. Your benefit is expressed in my motto, learn the skills, enjoy academic life. Who are postdocs? Postdoctoral researchers, or postdocs, are the researchers who have already obtained PhD degrees and who want to be further trained. Typically in the basic life science fields in the US, like in my neuroscience field, postdocs will spend several years before moving on to their own careers. Again, typically in the US, after receiving a PhD degree, a graduate student turned postdoc will apply to a professor who is also called principal investigator, or PI, from the viewpoint of grant funding. If the PI thinks that the postdoc will contribute much to the PI's work, the postdoc will be hired. Then the postdoc will stay in the PI's laboratory or the lab almost all the time. The postdoc will definitely interact with people in the lab. The postdoc could also interact with other postdocs in the same department. By the way, a department can have 10 to 20 or even more labs, and each lab is run by a faculty member, that is, a professor. But this interaction within the department will also depend on how the department will organize such an opportunity. And the opportunities include by way of scientific activities, such as presentations by departmental postdocs, or by way of social activities, for example, Friday coffee breaks for the entire department. If the department is not so active in providing opportunities for interactions, the interaction among the postdocs will start only on a personal basis, so it will be pretty limited. How are postdocs trained normally? The training of a postdoc heavily depends on the PI. Some PIs want postdocs to focus only on experimental work within the lab to generate data for publications. This is partly reasonable because postdocs are usually very important contributors to research in the labs. PIs would want to increase the productivity of their labs, and postdocs will also want to increase their productivity, that is, the publications. In this case, the training of a postdoc is often limited to how to do experiments in the lab and how to analyze those experimental data. Other PIs want their postdocs to be trained in a variety of skills so that the postdocs will be ready for their own future careers. Personally, I have seen that many postdocs do not receive this broader training. This is in sharp contrast to the graduate students in the US for obtaining PhD degrees. They are trained by the graduate programs, usually systematically. After I became independent as a professor, I heard about the lack of training directly from the postdocs outside of my lab. Here's one of my key moments. There was a departmental lunch last year. All the people in the department got together in one place, and we had lunch together for a social gathering. The attending people were the faculty members, postdocs, graduate students, undergraduate students, scientific staff members, and the administrators, all in the department. I sat down at one of the round tables. There were several postdocs and me at the table. I started talking with them and asked them a few questions. Are you trained by any program in our department? All of them said no. Are you trained by any program in our university? All of them said no. Do you want to be trained? All of them said yes. Then I became motivated and curious. I asked another question. If I am to give a training session for you, would you be willing to join? All of them said yes. So I learned that the postdocs, at least in the group, were not being trained well. In response to our starting question, how are the postdocs trained normally? The answer is that many postdocs are not trained well, at least to their satisfaction. I also learned that they want to be trained well. I knew, and we know, that there are many skills the postdocs would need in order to be successful. So I asked one more question to them. For which skills do you want the training? A few postdocs said something that was very specific to what they were doing in their labs. They could not be generalized to other postdocs. The remaining postdocs were not certain about what they wanted, and they were silent. So their responses were varied and not unanimous this time. I understood it too. At least the postdocs in that group were not used to the question about what training they wanted. It is possible that they had not thought that a faculty member like me could ask them about it. Simply, they were not ready for the question. And even if they had thought about the question before, it is possible that they did not know what skills they would need. After this fun and important meeting, I decided to contribute positively to their scientific life by giving them the necessary training. I decided to organize a training program for the department's postdocs. After that, I talked with the chairperson of my department, and the chairperson agreed that it's a very good idea. Then I moved on to organize, design, host, and administer the training sessions. The format and the content of the postdoc training program. I would say that the format and content are not laid out systematically yet. I have not made a systematic overview like a syllabus in a lecture course. The format and content will evolve from now based on the comments and requests from the postdocs. So what I'm going to tell you here is what we have, at least for now. Each training session is 1 hour long. We have already had 11 sessions. I did some experiments about how frequently we have the sessions. Once a week was a little too frequent for me, and I could not keep up with the pace. When I became busy with other things, I could not prepare for the sessions at all. Once a month was a little too infrequent. Postdocs did not remember what they discussed in the previous session. So we settled on once in 2 weeks, between once a week and once a month. This seems to be at the right balance for us. What does the postdoc training program cover? I want to cover many things, but among those many things, what to start with? In the training program, I want to cover basically similar things as the ones that we will be doing in our podcast episodes. In the very first episode, episode number 1, I classified the overall episode series in 3 parts and gave 3 examples for each part. They were: Part 1, information input, how to attend a poster session as the audience and how to ask questions, how to understand presented materials in scientific seminars, and how to read scientific papers. Part 2, information output. The 3 examples are how to present a poster, how to present a scientific seminar, how to write scientific papers. And Part 3, information for career advancement. The 3 examples are how to write a CV, how to ask for a recommendation letter for your reference, and how to prepare for thesis committee meetings. Among these topics and many more possible topics, I already thought about one thing to start with. It is how to read a paper. I always think that reading is the most important skill in any field of life sciences, either basic sciences or clinical sciences. Reading is the foundation of the foundational skills in life sciences. Actually, this is the reason why I started the podcast 2 years ago and why we have been working on how to read the papers now. How does a training session proceed? The training program is a voluntary activity for the postdocs. Only those who want to come will come. There are about 15 postdocs in my department. I have found that about half of them are joining the training sessions all the time. Scheduling will not be an issue for my postdocs. After setting up the first schedule, I will email it out to all the postdocs, and I will ask if there's a schedule conflict. If at least one postdoc says that the postdoc wants to attend, but the postdoc will not be available on a specific date, I will reschedule it until all the postdocs who want to come can come. This works well for me because postdocs who are not interested in the program will simply not respond to my emails. I will deal with only those who want to participate and who send me emails. We have had 11 sessions so far. In the very first session, I invited an external speaker. The speaker is an editor for scientific manuscripts, grant proposals, and any other written contents by the faculty members in my university. I asked the speaker to present on how to read a paper. I viewed it as a general introduction for reading a paper. From the second session onward, I have been presenting, and I have been presenting the details of how to read a paper. My intention is that we will read the details deep inside a paper so that my postdocs can learn a systematic approach to reading the author's intentions in individual sentences. For this purpose, I have chosen a paper to read. It was written by one of our faculty members. The postdocs and I are reading the paper together. What to do in each session? I want to keep my session to be very interactive. At first, I will explain my viewpoint about a specific topic. Then I will invite questions from the postdocs. I will answer them, and I also want them to enjoy my answer to the question. Then I further want them to discuss among themselves. These activities will take time, and naturally, they are slow processes. But I have set a clear goal for the postdocs. Our goal in the training program is not just to read a paper. It is not just to learn the presented materials. Instead, our goal is to use the materials as a starting point or a trigger for discussing the materials. Comments, questions, answers, and discussions are the goal. I think this attitude will be helpful for all the attending postdocs and even for me. One specific question will have multiple answers, and those different answers will depend on specific research group in a specific field. It is very interesting to see that there are postdocs working in diverse fields in a single department, and that the postdocs in different fields have slightly different opinions about the details of a question. We are all learning from each other's comments, questions, and answers. One advantage of this interactive approach is that in addition to learning some experiences from me, the postdocs will get to know each other very well. When they work in individual labs, they tend to be isolated from each other. In my training program, they will enjoy the opportunity to talk with each other. Feedback from a postdoc. On this recording day, today, I had one session. We read a part of the results section of a paper. We spent 1 hour, as usual, and we read only 3 paragraphs of the results section. Again, this is because we enjoyed discussions very much. I received feedback today. After the session, one postdoc came over to me. She said, "Thank you." And she said that what I have been doing with the postdocs in the training program has been really, really helpful for her. She said that she learned very deep aspects of reading papers. According to her, I am structure-oriented, and I emphasized the structures of the abstract, introduction, and discussion sections very well. Just to let you know, it is exactly the same as in our podcast episodes here. And she said she can now see clear structures when she reads papers. Also, she thanked me because we proceeded very slowly. I invited questions, we enjoyed discussions, and the postdocs enjoyed talking to each other. This was all very good news for me. Then, in addition, she said something interesting. Last week, she had the very first experience of peer-reviewing a manuscript submitted to a scientific journal. The paper was in her field. The data appeared to be good, but the introduction, results, and discussion sections were written very poorly. The author's logic seemed very disorganized, according to her. What was surprising to her was that not only she could tell that the writing was poorly organized, but also she could clearly point out what the exact problems were, and she could suggest how to improve the manuscript to the authors. And she said that she had not been able to do it before attending my training program because she had no idea about how to read a paper critically. But now she's going through my training program and she's learning deeply from the sessions. She just experienced that she is now capable of peer reviewing. This was a huge improvement for her. She was really happy about it, and she thanked me so much. I was very happy to hear the very positive feedback. I always welcome feedback from my trainees. I learn a lot from constructive criticisms. And in this case, the feedback was very positive. And if my trainee feels happy, I feel very happy too. Here's a side note, just to let you know, one trick must have worked well. After each training session, our department provides us with pizzas and soft drinks, free of charge. So no wonder why my postdocs are happy. How do our podcast episodes compare with my postdoc training program? You might want to know how our episodes compare with the postdoc training program that we have talked about today. Our episodes go more deeply, and because of that, our episodes go more slowly. I would like to go really deep into each topic of foundational skills and to talk about many details that you might not have heard outside. I believe that you will learn a lot from our episodes. But One thing that our episodes do not have, at least for now, is the interactive nature. What I would like to do in the future is to introduce some form of free discussions in our episodes. It will need to be in some form of live online activities. I do not have a solid idea yet about how to do it, but it would be great if we could discuss many topics actively together. Please let me know if you have any good ideas about how we can discuss. What is the lesson today? There might not be a specific lesson because I have not given you any solid knowledge or tips about foundational skills. But if you like my presentation style or the way of facilitating discussions, invoking questions, and answering questions, then please continue to listen to my episodes. I really appreciate it. I would be even happier if you could send me an email and start communicating with me. I enjoy communicating with you. Please feel free to send me an email. My email address is ideas@synaptologica.com. Thank you for joining me in today's episode of Foundational Skills in Life Sciences. I'm Dr. Synaptologica. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.